Don't tell anybody.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting of the City Council for Monday, June 3rd, 2024 to order. And I'd like to ask our honor guard to post the colors.
Forward, march.
Someone making fun of me?
Prepare to post colors. Ready. Post. Read. Cover. Ready. Face. Present. Arms. Order. Arms. Ready. Face. Forward. March.
I'd ask that you please remain standing and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Seated. For those of you who haven't already, please silence your cell phones and don't listen to this on YouTube because that's why we get that strange echo. Clerk Tamer, please call the roll.
Deuter. Here. Barimus, absent. Hill.
Here.
Schenko. Here. Jensen. Absent. Bram.
Here.
Cahill.
Here.
Toludo, absent. Park.
Here.
Udera.
Here.
Bastido.
Here.
Nardini.
Here.
Brennan.
Here.
Irby.
Here.
11 present, 3 absent.
11 present, 3 absent. We have a quorum. All right, so this is one of the somewhat rare opportunities when we get to promote some of our firefighters to the officer rank, and it's my pleasure this evening to preside over 2 promotions. First, Jack Weaver. Jace Weaver. Oh, we're off to a good start here. Come on up, Jace. Do you have anyone with you that, let's bring the family up. You'll just sort of fill in behind Jace. Fortunately, we can change your name in a minute to Lieutenant, so it'll be easier. And do you want to tell us who you have with you this evening?
This is my oldest, Cole, my middle, Liam, and youngest, Nolan. My wife, mom, sister, mother-in-law, father-in-law, my dad, and my brother-in-law.
Well, thanks for bringing the whole battalion out.
Make up for last time. Yes.
All right, hold on to that. All right. So Jace Weaver started his career with the Elmhurst Fire Department in March of 2017. He was with the fire service in the Pontiac Fire Department in 2007. He received an associate degree in fire science from Joliet Junior College, and we're promoting you, I hope, to lieutenant tonight. Is that correct?
Yes,
It doesn't say it, but I do remember that much. All right. So with that, we'll proceed, and I'll ask you to raise your right hand. I, Jace Weaver,
I, Jace Weaver,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States,
that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the chartered laws
and the chartered laws
of the City of Elmhurst,
of the City of
and
Elmhurst,
that I will uphold the duties
that I will uphold the duties
of Fire Lieutenant
of Fire Lieutenant
according to the best of my abilities.
according to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I'd ask if you want to we'll go in the middle and ask your family to line up behind us. We'll take a group picture first and then one with just you and your family. Put some on this side over here. All right, and congratulations. If you'll come around, don't. You have a family that why don't you have them come on up?
The first two rows.
Slide over a little bit, Mike. I know you have some experience. All right, Mike, you want to, speaking of mics, hold that part if you want. You want to tell us who you've got with you today for your family?
My mom and dad, my wife Lynn, daughter Mia, son Cade, mother-in-law, nephew, niece, sister-in-law, and brother-in-law.
See, now you know how it feels.
Yeah.
All right. Lieutenant Mike Husing began his career with the Elmhurst Fire Department in February 2000, and he was promoted to the rank of lieutenant in 2017. He has served in the training division since 2013. He received an associate degree in fire science from Prairie State Junior College and is currently pursuing his Bachelor of Science in Public Safety Management from Southern Illinois University. Forgot we got to do this for the tape here. Mike started his career in the fire service with the Beecher Fire Protection District in 1997 and continued with that department until 2008 when he accepted a firefighter position with the Calumet Park Fire Department and worked there until the department was disbanded in 2018 due to no fault of your own, is the way I understand it. He then returned to the Beecher Fire Protection District and is currently serving as Deputy Chief. And so with that, we will be ready to proceed. You got a badge? Right. All right. You gonna pin that? All right. If you're ready, raise your right hand, please. I, Mike Husing,
I, Mike Husing,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States,
to uphold the Constitution of the United
the
States,
Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the chartered laws of the City of Elmhurst,
and the chartered laws of the City of Elmhurst.
and I will perform the duties
And I will perform the duties
of the Battalion Chief
of the Battalion Chief
according to the best of my abilities.
according to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations. All right, so let's do the same thing. If you and I will stand here, Battalion Chief, and get some family members over here to balance it out. And one last round of applause. And we'll give a few minutes for our firefighters. Thank you, guys. Thank you for coming out. Are you doing a group picture tonight, or where's the chief? Yes, outside. Outside, all right. But so we'll give a minute for you guys to file it. Thank you for coming out to recognize the promotions. All right, we'll move on with the agenda. This evening we have some special recognition for our Youth Commission Advisory Committee. In the fall of 2023, the members of the Youth Commission thought it would be advantageous to form a Youth Advisory Committee. And after all, who knows more about youth in our community than themselves? For months, the members of the Youth Commission carefully constructed the framework of this Youth Advisory Commission, defining criteria for membership and responsibilities of this group. This newly formed Youth Advisory Committee would be comprised of members of our community ranging from 7th grade through 11th grade. These young people that are before you today completed the application, and they were ultimately selected by our Youth Commission, chaired by Jackie Tamer, our clerk, and appointed to this new advisory committee. This was the inaugural year for the Youth Advisory Committee, so everyone, members and leaders alike, were learning as they went. Although they only had a couple of meetings in the first year, the group provided valuable insight and helped guide the direction of the Youth Commission. Next year, we expect this group to take an even larger role with the Exemplary Service Awards, the Job and Volunteer Fair, and other activities in our community. At this time, I'd like to recognize first members of our Youth Commission. Kevin O'Reilly. You can raise your hand, Kevin. And members of the Advisory Committee, Mike Grazzini. You're the only one that hears that? All right. Alexander Sully. Theodore Comencia, Gerald. Abigail Saltil. Sahana Pandya. Sophia Kamenika. Brady Shaw. Ryan Mansfield. And Linda Schmoody. So I want to thank you guys for all the service that you've provided this year, and you guys are, I hope, future leaders of our community. We'll hope you will all continue as we get into the first full year of the Youth Advisory Committee for the 2024-2025 school year. So let's have a big round of applause for all these. And we're also going to do a picture up here. So if you guys will come up as we did with the firefighters. Kevin, you want to lead? All right, we'll move on now to receipt of written communications from the public. Is there anyone here who has a written communication that they would like to deliver to the council? If so, please raise your hand. All right, seeing none, we'll move on to public forum. This is an opportunity for anyone to speak on any topic that they so choose. We'll ask that when you approach the microphone, which is the second in the back against the wall there, and you can adjust the microphone as is needed for your preference. We ask that you state your name. Address is optional, but if someone wants to get back to you, that will help us contact you. How many do we have signed up for public comment?
We have 21.
All right, we have 21 signed up for public comment, and I'm guessing we have a particular topic that will occupy a lot of the public comment. We're here to listen, but I would encourage you, we allow 3 minutes per person, but out of respect for the council, if your comments are repetitive of some other speakers who've preceded you, I would ask that you just endorse the comments or hit the highlights of what you have. If we were to go 3 minutes with each person, we would be an hour. So this public comment is going to be a little bit longer. That's all right. And the clerk will call your name, and we will begin at that point. So, Clerk Tamer, who's the first person who signed up for public comment?
I think this is an H, but Hatim Alay. I don't know if I think it's with an H.
Please state your name and address is optional.
Yes, this is Hatim Raga, and good evening, everyone. I know it's 3 minutes here, but if I can kindly ask for a few more seconds just to explain the reason that this hall is filled today.
Would you just come a little closer?
Yeah, I'm just saying, asking for maybe 1 more minute, if possible, just to explain the reason we're here today. My colleagues and I we go from city to city trying to raise awareness about the horrible situation in Gaza, where 15,000 at least children were killed and over 120,000 people were killed or injured or murdered in the past 7 months. And we're here just to raise awareness and to ask villages and cities to call for a ceasefire resolution and pass that resolution. And that's the reason that we have a hall filled with people today. So I'll proceed to my speech here. Again, my name is Hatim Elaga, and I'm standing before you today as someone with a very strong connection to Gaza myself. Between me and my wife, we lost over 200 family members in the past 7 months. With the Rafah invasion happening right now, the number is sadly set to increase. My own brother, who is mentally ill and handicapped, was kidnapped and tortured for 45 days before being released and now having debilitating health conditions, including severe infections in his wrists due to the zip ties eating deep into his flesh and almost reaching his bone. The aggression in Gaza destroyed over 80% of its buildings and almost all of its infrastructure. All once loved memories are erased, no more and utterly destroyed. Imagine that anything, and I do mean anything you held dear to your heart, just vanished. All your memories are cancelled, your past just got amputated. Gaza now is Dresden 1945. You may wonder why we're here, talking to a local city, while this genocide is committed thousands of miles away. Let me say that this war is actually local. According to Washington Post, about 23,000 US citizens are in the ranks of the Israeli army, thousands of which are fighting right now in Gaza today. Those young men and women came from the cities and suburbs of America, possibly including Elmhurst. This faraway war is now local. Elmhurst calling for a ceasefire sends a clear message that this city is not party to this genocide. Here is one more way this war is local. If your city's pension fund is investing in a weapon company, then you are abetting this war. Your retirement fund may be growing at the expense of the bloodshed and murdered children in Gaza. Ceasefire sends a message to your fund manager to reconsider their investment, and that's why this war is local. Finally, let me remind you that once upon a time, there was a place where people were imprisoned, the same way they are in Gaza right now, deprived from food and water, same as in Gaza right now, and then thrown into ovens to burn alive, which is happening in Gaza in a different way. That place has a name. It's called Auschwitz. And that's why Gaza is today's Auschwitz. Gaza is today's Holocaust. Our school had its 8th grade.
You're at 4 minutes instead of 3, but are you a spokesman for the rest of the group?
Well, I was the first one, so they asked me to introduce the reason that we're here today.
All right, we'll give you a
I
little
have
bit
only
longer.
one more
Go-
paragraph.
That's fine,
and
go
it.
ahead.
Yeah. Our school had its 8th grade graduation on Saturday. In my speech, I asked my students to lead a life where they stand for justice, which we all had as part of Pledge of Allegiance just a few minutes ago. Stand for justice and what's right, even if that decision is hard. As our leaders, that's you are the role model, and you can show this by example. Ceasefire is as just of a call as it can be. I ask you to be on the right side of history and pass a ceasefire resolution today. Thank you so much.
Kirk Tamer.
Iham Al-Haj. one
The back
behind.
microphone.
State your name, address, optional, please.
My name is Inam Haq, and I work here at Elmhurst University, the wonderful institution in this beautiful town. We are here today just to seek your help and support in our effort to ask various cities and towns to stand and support the cause of ceasefire in Palestine and Middle East. As my colleague mentioned, the horrors and suffering of this tragedy, and here in 21st century, there have been many tragedies before, but these are unfolding right in front of our eyes, daily social media and TV footage. And for all practical purposes, the conflict is not limited to a small region, but it is increasingly becoming global. And as we can see, a global civic community is out there demanding for peace. I would like to say that we, the United States, are not only a great democracy, as we built these institutions of human representation here, but we are also the leader of the world. And the world looks towards United States for leadership. And it is not only that we build democracy here, it is the United States which built these international institutions, such as United Nations refugee groups, Human Rights Watch, Geneva Convention, because we believed in a civilized world in which conflicts should be decided by diplomacy and negotiations and not through brute force. It is sad and tragic that we are witnessing that these institutions are under enormous pressure and they risk the disintegration. And if it happens, which is already happening, then we are really in a very, very chaotic world in which many powerful nations, as we see Russia and Ukraine, as we see China and Taiwan, as we see Iran and Arab neighborhood, as we see in North Korea towards South Korea, many conflicts can break down and it will become impossible for anyone to manage them. Enormous cost to humanity, but enormous cost to United States and its leadership. Therefore, it is in the interest of all of us to maintain these institutions and solve these problems in a peaceful manner. Now, you may ask that it is really beyond the scope of...
You're at 3 minutes, so please
Okay,
try
just
to wrap.
half minute, that we should not think it is beyond the scope of our effort, because we are citizens of this world. We have a story in our tradition coming from Prophet Abraham, that when he was being thrown in the fire, an ant filled his mouth with water and rushed to extinguish the fire. And everybody laughed and asked, what you can do in the face of this huge fire? And he said, at least the world will see where do I stand. So I want that we should all stand on the right side of history and demand that this war should end and peace should prevail. Thank you.
Nathan Piran.
Hello, I'm Pastor Nathan Perrin, local Mennonite minister from Lombard. I also serve on the board of a human rights organization called Community Peacemaker Teams as the co-chair. We do work primarily in the Middle East with Palestine and Iraq. So it's rooted in Mennonite beliefs. I also have been a local resident around here for about 3 years. I've been going to seminary around here for 6. And so, yeah, I've come to know Chicagoland, and it's come to, especially around areas like Elmhurst, Lombard, Oak Brook, they've come to become a special place in my heart. So there was a study released last year through the University of Illinois, Chicago, about systemic racism that Middle Eastern and North African communities face whenever there's disastrous foreign policy, especially when the United States is involved in any way. The study was done by the Institute for Research on Race and Public Policy, and it's called Beyond Erasure and Profiling, Cultivating Strong and Vibrant Arab American Communities in Chicagoland. It was released just last year as the first study of its kind to be done this in depth. The results of the study showed direct links between the rise of anti-Arab and anti-Muslim rhetoric with the rise of terrible foreign policy. So hate crimes always increase, as you can see in our communities, that anti-Muslim and anti-Arab sentiments are starting to pop up, as well as anti-Semitism. So it always happens when there's stuff going on in the Middle East. So by calling for a ceasefire, you can set a precedent for how Elmhurst is to treat our Muslim and Middle Eastern friends in our community. And it's saying that their pain matters and that their humanity matters. With the DNC convention around the corner and frequent protests happening all across Chicagoland, things are obviously heating up, and people are wanting to be heard who are otherwise feeling ignored. All these folks can attest that they've tried the traditional routes of taking these matters to people who have more direct access to do something about them. They're not being heard. I myself has been denied meetings many times. So our Muslim and Middle Eastern friends are asking us to directly recognize their pain by calling for a ceasefire. As you can see through the study, it is directly linked to local community matters because it affects their everyday life too. Many of them have relatives living overseas. So I encourage you to do the right thing and let them know that they matter and that they have a place in your community too. Thank you.
Keith Larson.
Good evening. My name is Keith Larson, and I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak. I graduated from Elmhurst University in 2018, though it was still called Elmhurst College at the time, and I lived on campus all 4 years I was there. My sister also graduated from Elmhurst, as well as my grandma and my cousin's husband, who she met here. I began my adulthood in Elmhurst, and that is why I have such a connection to this city. But for some reason, I'm also perceived to be connected deeply to a country thousands of miles away that I've never visited. This country is supposedly my protector and my birthright. I grew up Jewish, but I also grew up American. I've never left U.S. soil, and as you can tell, I speak English with an American accent, not an Israeli accent. In recent decades, there has been a false narrative that has become mainstream. Zionists have been conflating the state of Israel and the ideology of Zionism with Jewish identity. The primary purpose of this conflation is to use the trauma of my people as a shield from any and all criticism of Israel, a state founded on ethnic cleansing, apartheid, genocide, and ethno-nationalism. And the secondary effect of this conflation is the rise of a new anti-Semitism that reuses the same anti-Semitic tropes that led to violence against my people, only replacing a few words to equate Jews with Zionism rather than greed or power. As Israel has murdered 37,000 confirmed Palestinians since October 7th and countless more who are not identifiable or are buried under the rubble, the conflation between Israel and Jews is a weapon used to justify the unjustifiable, genocide. This defies every Jewish value I was taught. I was taught to learn from history and to never let the Holocaust happen again. When I look to history, I see the anti-Nazi movement in the U.S. dating back to the early 1930s. I see popular efforts to boycott and divest from Germany, similar to the nonviolent boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement today. Even without social media, people across the world knew what was happening in Germany, but the world failed to act until Hitler posed a threat to other European nations. If the world had acted sooner, I wonder how many lives could have been spared. Today, as Holocaust survivors and genocide scholars have raised warnings about Israel, how can we learn from the mistakes of our past? After 8 months of pleading with our representatives in D.C. and over 2/3 of U.S. voters in support of a permanent ceasefire, the federal government has failed to use its exceptional influence over Israel to force them to stop this genocide. Just as many cities passed resolutions leading up to the Civil Rights Act, we ask that you add a resolution to your agenda to pressure the government to demand a permanent ceasefire in Gaza and to pass it. Learn from the past and do not stay silent when a genocide is happening, and one day you will look back and realize that you were on the right side of history. Thank you for your time.
Linda Medina.
Hi, everyone. I'm so honored to be here with you today, and thank you so much for this forum. Quick story, when I was 13 years old, I told my parents I wanted to learn about my roots, more about my family's history. I got on the plane, so excited to meet the family I'd never seen and see some beautiful things. Having never left the US and not knowing the language, I was naive. I mean, what do you really know at 13, right? Well, I learned things that summer in Palestine that no young person ever should. About prejudice and discrimination, humiliating checkpoints, inconsistent laws, and abusive authority figures. About why my grandmother kept a key to a home she would never be allowed to return to, and why someone from Florida lives there now. Just a small, painful taste of the decades of abuse Palestinians have endured at the hands of Israel. That eye-opening summer left a mark on my heart, and is the reason I found a community where my own daughters could grow up surrounded by diversity, inclusion, and respect. And today, I'm immensely proud to call Elmhurst my home. But every day, I'm reminded of families like mine in Palestine who suffer under an ongoing genocide. People that have hopes, dreams, and are loved just like you and me, but they're denied the same safety and security that we enjoy. It's bittersweet seeing these heroic firefighters today because Palestine is literally on fire. I'll take it as a sign because the humanitarian crisis in Gaza needs our attention and action. Did you know that Gaza has the largest number of child amputees in history? I didn't know that until today, and since learning that, I can't stop seeing those innocent faces when I look at my own children. It haunts me. Why are we spared and they weren't? But you know what? Even after it all, I'm still an eternal optimist. Being here today, I'm optimistic that my elected representatives won't fail me, that you'll honor Elmhurst values of compassion, empathy, and respect, the same ones that are proudly reflected in our mission statement, and that you'll support a ceasefire resolution. Because how could we not? The situation in Gaza and Palestine is dire. We're seeing unfathomable suffering, bloodshed, displacement, and the lack of the most basic human rights. This has nothing to do with politics. It's our moral responsibility as human beings sharing this earth to act in and show solidarity. When one person bleeds, we all bleed together. So how could we not support a ceasefire resolution? It's more than just a symbol. It carries genuine importance. It signifies that we acknowledge the severity of the crisis and are prepared to use our collective voice to promote a change. That's why our friends in Chicago, Villa Park, and Oak Brook Terrace did it, right? I urge you today to join them in standing on the right side of history. They're shining examples for every other city to follow, including ours. Because how could we see all that we're witnessing in real time and not do anything about it? Please include the ceasefire resolution on your agenda. Let's bring hope to those suffering in Gaza and reinforce the values that make Elmhurst such a special place. Thank you for this opportunity to share my thoughts.
Daswan Abubakar.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Sausan Abu Baker, excuse me, and I am here to speak to you on behalf of Wadi' al-Fayoumi, a 6-year-old boy stabbed 26 times by his family's landlord in Plainfield, Illinois on October 14, 2023, simply for being Palestinian. I am also here on behalf of all the children in our community who live in fear simply because they are Palestinian, and that includes my 5 grandchildren. I urge you to pass a resolution calling for an immediate and sustainable ceasefire and support humanitarian relief in Gaza. This is not a call to choose a political side, and this is a call for you to take the side of humanity and give a voice to the voiceless. This is a call to stand against the indiscriminate murder of innocent men, women, and children. As you listen to us today, you may believe your voice will not make a difference. You may think we have false hope and are fools thinking a local government can influence our federal leaders. However, we are following the lead of grassroots organizations and efforts in cities and municipalities within the United States that stood up against apartheid in South Africa. These states, municipalities, and cities passed resolutions, engaged in economic divestment, and utilized various other measures to oppose South Africa's apartheid and our country's support of it. Our voices, including yours, are even more crucial today, given the significant support our country contributes to the oppression and ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. And I am not referring only to our tax dollars. Having lived under the Israeli occupation for 8 years and visiting Palestine multiple times since my return to the US, I have witnessed firsthand how our country has turned a blind eye to Israel's atrocities for 76 years. It is time. The time has come to show our federal leaders that we will hold them accountable for not upholding our values of freedom and dignity for all, as you guys said at the Pledge of Allegiance today. Your voices as your city leaders will hold more weight than mine as you speak for more than just one person. You represent Elmhurst residents and countless citizens in Illinois who stand against injustice. You will give a voice to Elmhurst residents who may hesitate to speak up out of fear for their safety. Do not underestimate the power of your voice as a leader who only represents the city of Elmhurst. You and all cities in Illinois represent us all. It is crucial to understand that mere words of sympathy are not enough. You need to connect your humanitarian nature to empathize with the mental and emotional suffering of your community and rise above our country's indifference towards the murder of innocent children in Palestine. Thank you.
Faiz Kozandar.
Thank you. Your Honor, thank you for the opportunity. I would like to start directing my question to everybody.
I'm sorry, would you just state your name before you start, please?
My name is Faiz Kozandar,
Thank you.
Executive Director of not-for-profit organization. We have this newsletter, Your Honor. Allow me to pass it to the member of your board, maybe afterwards. It has a lot related to what we are talking about. I would like to start for posing this question to everybody in the hallway, in here in this place. If you agree for a ceasefire in Gaza Strip today before tomorrow, please stand up. Thank you. You may sit down. Thank you very much. Your Honor, I'd like to share my experience. I have over 150 people from my immediate family in Gaza without food, without shelter, without medical care, because of the atrocity committed by the occupying power in Gaza. Simply, I was proud American when I voted for Jimmy Carter. He was one-term president because of the Iran hostage crisis. 3.5 years ago, I voted for Biden, and he will be one-term president because he flew all the way to Tel Aviv to declare war on my own family. I caught in a bind. I raised 3 children here among you, and now they question their dad. Why this happened to my family? Even though they are American, they are born here. and they question their dad why this happened. Now, why this happened in Plainfield, not far from here? Because Zionist propaganda even brainwashed our president coming back from Israel saying that children beheaded, children born, and deranged landlord listened to his lies and then killed that child in Plainfield. Don't tell me what's going on in Gaza not related to what's going on here in Elmhurst. When a high school girl afraid to walk in the street in Elmhurst because she put her hijab on her head, that is related to what's going on in Elmhurst. So please, talk to your heart and ask yourself as a human. You cannot be silent. Silent is not the answer, because you will be responsible for this atrocity and genocide coming and going in Gaza. This is a Holocaust.
Sir, you're at about 4 minutes.
Thank you very much for listening to me, sir. Thank you.
Fazia Hoda.
I would like to ask for the rest of you who are speaking, again, if you're making similar points, you don't have to use the full 3 minutes. I've let the first speakers go a little long to get some of the substance out, but we're here.
Fazia Hoda. Okay, maybe she's not.
All right, we'll move on to the next one.
Sayeda Wasim. Sayeda Wasim.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, please state your name, address optional.
My name is Saida. I've been a resident of Elmhurst for over 3 decades. I am a product of the Elmhurst school system. I was taught that we must always work towards a world that fosters equality and basic human rights. I don't mean to bore you guys with statistics, but I think it's kind of important to kind of get to the point. I come to you as a humanitarian. I do work as a pharmacist as well. So as of today, 44,000 people have been killed in Gaza. 15,000 children account for those 44,000 people. 2 million people have been displaced from their homes. 10 children per day have been estimated to be losing at least a limb. And this could lead to long-term disfigurement and just increased psychological issues. Gaza actually leads the world in perimortem C-sections. What is that? That's the surgical delivery of the fetus performed during or near the time of death of the mother. More PCMSs have been performed in Gaza in the past 6 months that has been done in the U.S. in the past several decades. 371 healthcare providers have been killed, and 29 hospitals have been destroyed or close to non-functionable. 459 schools have been, and universities have been damaged. How does this relate to Elmhurst, right? Like, what does this have to do with Elmhurst at all? Well, in DuPage County, we are one of the largest cities that is being lauded for our safety, education, and being part of its excellent healthcare system with the 9th best hospital in the state. These are kind of the core values of Elmhurst that have allowed us to have some of the best education, healthcare provided to our residents. If we can even be a little part of allowing the entire world to experience the same safety, security that we experience here, it would be imperative that we mimic our values and put forth an effort to pass forward the ceasefire resolution. A ceasefire resolution is a bilateral peace agreement, and our progressive city can be the catalyst to create a chain reaction amongst other cities to pass a ceasefire resolution and maybe change the sentiment towards the government to see maybe the general population does not necessarily agree with everything that's going on. And that's all.
Ruhi Fatima.
Hello, my name is Ruhi Fatima, and I just finished 9th grade in May. I want to thank you all for this opportunity and for your attention. To begin, I want to ask you, is it enough to call the plethora of short-lived lives a tragedy and move on, when you have the power to stop powerless youth from being the victims of such demoralizing conflict? To eat 3 seasoned meals a day, being certain of education in the future, and spending quality time with friends is an average day for a child like me in this country. While yesterday, 6,129 miles away, a child from Gaza woke up with hunger in his stomach, got out of the bed of bundled scraps, prayed before dawn, and went on a stakeout for scraps of food and clean water, wondering if he will make it alive to sunset and beyond, or join the majority of his family and friends who lay under rubble and debris the bombs left behind. That child was probably learning algebra just like I was last year before the bombing. Now I will learn algebra too, working towards my future while he faces the uncertainty of waking up another morning instead of entering a classroom again. I don't understand why this is my life and that is his. It breaks my heart to know that in another country that was filled with giggling children who would roam the streets without a care in the world now lay in hiding, their eyes wide with expectation of an explosion in any given moment. My mind simply cannot comprehend such disparity, which is why I request you to understand how apathetic standing still is. By not aiding in the decree of the ceasefire, we are hurtling towards a path which is downright inhumane. Please think about the horrors the people, the children have gone through and are still going through as we sit here. I beseech you to help rectify such suffering and anguish of the children. To respect the graves of the 13,000 children who have already been killed, please stand alongside those who are desperate to salvage the remaining souls of the youth of the next generation of Gaza. Thank you.
Patty Drugan.
Hi. I also want to thank all of you guys. I appreciate all of you guys allowing us to come in and speak today. My name is Patty Drugan. I'm coming here as a Christian today. I am asking for all of you guys to help us put the resolution on an agenda. I did go online and I was looking to see you guys have a safety committee, so I am hoping that Mr. Brennan, Alderman Brennan and Alderman Hill, that we can get together after sometime in the next week or so and talk about the resolution. We are aware that it's going to probably need to be amended so that it would be Elmhurst's very own resolution. I don't sleep very well. I don't sleep well at all. Just this last week, Israel is telling people that they need to go to specific parts of Gaza so that they can be safe. And all of these children and these mothers are being murdered. We stood up together united when Israel was attacked because of the women and the children and the teenagers and people who were killed on that day. We stood together united. We must stand together united with our Palestinian brothers and sisters as well. I can't in good conscience as a Christian, if one side is wrong, the other side must be equally wrong. We have to call out the wrong, no matter which side it's on. I really do appreciate you guys, and I am hoping that we can meet with you, talk about the resolution, make amendments to it if there are amendments that need to be made. You guys set the precedence. There's 13 towns that have passed a resolution already, and we are hoping and praying that you guys will join. You will join us so that our Palestinian and our Jewish brothers and sisters feel safe in their identity. The hate that is going on over there, you guys know that it's going on over here as well. It has festered, it is now here in America, and it is up to us, and I'm hoping that you guys will join and make sure that all of your constituents feel safe in their identity, whether they're Sikh, whether they are Muslim, whether they are Jewish. If we're not feeling safe here, you guys standing up and saying that we're not going to tolerate any type of hate crimes. None of that stuff should be going on here either. So thank you. I appreciate you. Have a good evening.
Nisreen Zaki.
Hello, my name is Nisreen. I come to you this evening to speak about the ongoing issues we have all been witnessing through the media, and for some of us, issues our family and friends are dealing with. You are our elected community officials and hold more power by adding a ceasefire resolution on your next meeting agenda. By adding this resolution, you are showing support and solidarity for humanity by standing firm with the release of all hostages on both sides, allowing an end to the blockade and allowing medical and food aid enter Gaza. Unfortunately, Israel has made that difficult. I think it's safe to say that we all want the hostilities to end between Israel and Gaza. As a Palestinian American mother and a daughter of immigrants, I am heartbroken by the daily images of children dying of starvation and being bombed, seeing families mourn the daily death tolls due to this ongoing issue. By speaking up, we are setting a tone for all. We are against all and any type or form of violence. We should not tolerate murder on either side. And together we must do better by speaking up. Thank you.
Simran Silverstein.
My name is Simran Silverstein, and I know quite a few of you, so most of you do know that I live in Elmhurst. As my favorite TV host of all time, Mr. Rogers, reminded us, look for the helpers. My name is Simran Silverstein, like I said, and this is why my family and I have chosen to call Elmhurst home for the last 15 years. As demonstrated on my t-shirt, we are a town that strives to show love and support to other humans. The city's mission statement includes treating all people with fairness, honesty, and compassion. An entire community of helpers. In 2020, when Mayor Levin was Alderman Levin, he took a stand and attended a peaceful Black Lives Matter rally to listen and learn how he could help and show that Elmhurst would not tolerate racial violence. In 2021, he took a stand and attended a pride rally as mayor, again to listen and learn how he could help and show that Elmhurst would not tolerate bigotry whatsoever. From then on, and just a few days ago, this city has issued an annual Pride proclamation showing yet again that in this town we love and support every human. This is the Elmhurst that I know and love. So you can imagine my shock when I heard the news about the recent anti-Semitic vandalism on one of our primary school playgrounds. This hate crime was allegedly perpetrated in broad daylight and with school children as witnesses. Elmhurst authorities worked swiftly to bring justice because they're the helpers. Although I came by my surname of Silverstein through marriage, I have a husband and a child with the same name, so you can imagine the emotions of fear, sadness, and frustration that this evoked in my home. Our ethnically and religiously mixed household includes Polish, Indian, Jewish, Christian, and Sikh. I happen to have brown skin. My father-in-law was born in a refugee camp in Germany after World War II. My father was 2 years old when partition happened in India, and his family made their home on the wrong side of the border and had to flee. In the face of those genocides, they were the lucky ones, and Elmhurst Silversteins might not have existed. The situation is much more dire for our brethren in Palestine. The before and after images of the destruction of human life are gut-wrenching. Access to basic hygiene is non-existent, let alone health care. Humanitarian aid convoys have been annihilated. There is nowhere to seek refuge. There is nowhere to flee. History is repeating, and our indifference is hurting populations around the world. It's now time to help. Mr. Mayor and council members, it's time to take a stand and show that we love and support all humans by issuing a permanent ceasefire resolution, that the systematic destruction of human life is something that Elmhurst does not tolerate. My family have seen incredibly tragic outcomes in our history. Do not let it continue in Palestine.
Saida, I'm not sure, Wagma? Wagma? Saida Wagma? Ami Al-Sharif? Ami Al-Sharif?
Good evening. My name is Amy El-Sharif, and I'm a proud resident of Elmhurst. I want to thank you all for listening so patiently and with open minds. I know this is a long night for you all. Growing up in Elmhurst, I had the benefit of an education here, from Sunbeams and Rainbows to Conrad Fisher, Churchville, York High School. In 2005, when I graduated, I left to go to college and law school at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. I began practicing as an attorney and have been practicing for over 10 years now. When my first child was born in 2020, there was no doubt in my mind that it was time to move back to Illinois, and specifically to Elmhurst. I wanted her to have the same privilege that I had growing up, to grow up in what I believe is an inclusive, empathetic, and impactful community, and receive a District 205 education. It is for my children and the children on the other side of the globe that I am here to respectfully ask the City Council to add a Gaza ceasefire resolution to your next agenda. While I may be a decades-long resident of Elmhurst, I am also Palestinian American and the daughter of an immigrant from Gaza. I have 3 uncles, 2 aunts, over a dozen cousins, their children, and dozens of more distant family members who are in Gaza now, who have escaped death on a daily basis for the last 8 months. I have a cousin who had a C-section with no anesthesia and no drugs. I have cousins who have contracted hepatitis from drinking contaminated water to avoid dying of dehydration. I have family members who have survived off of olive oil and hot peppers because no humanitarian aid has been let in. My cousins' universities have been destroyed, along with their hopes and dreams of becoming doctors and educators. Every single member of my family in Gaza has had to leave their homes and have been displaced time and time again and are now living in tents. They don't know if they will ever be able to return home, and when they do, if their homes will be standing. So why am I here tonight to ask you all to support a resolution relating to people on the other side of the world? Because this is a local matter too, as you've heard from several people tonight. My father has been an Elmhurst resident for over 4 decades, longer than I suspect almost anyone else in this room. He's an Elmhurst University graduate, a small business owner. He has voted for some of you and many of your predecessors. My father was the victim of a hate crime. He had a swastika graffitied on his car for simply displaying a small Palestinian flag in the window. My children are Palestinian American. You've all heard the story of 6-year-old Wadi al-Fayoumi, who was murdered in Plainfield just for being Palestinian. I'm asking the City Council to adopt a resolution, a ceasefire resolution, to show my children and all of the children that they are safe and welcome here in Elmhurst. I urge you to follow the example set by several other suburbs in the area, including Villa Park, Oakbrook Terrace, Burr Ridge, Bolingbrook, and more. Even if you think that a resolution by this council would not make a difference, you're wrong. I will tell you what one of my cousins in Gaza recently said to me when I told her, I wish we could do more. I wish there was something we could do for you, but please know we are thinking of you and supporting you every day. And she said, that matters. That matters for the people of Gaza. It matters for residents of Elmhurst. I would ask that this council add a ceasefire resolution to your next agenda. Thank you very much for your time.
Rima Saida, Cameroon.
Good evening. My name is Rima Saida Cameron, and I'm a proud Elmhurst resident for the past 20 plus years. For the past 20 years, I've gone to Elmhurst College/University, it'll always be Elmhurst College to me, raised my family of 4 boys, convinced 3 families to move to Elmhurst because I love it so much, served as a volunteer, served as a proud ambassador for the Elmhurst Complete Count Committee during the census, and continue to raise my family here. My work today is with community organizing, advocacy, and civic engagement. And I stand with all these folks here, asking all of you, respected Mayor Levin, respected alderwomen and aldermen, to please add the ceasefire resolution to your agenda. This resolution serves as a concrete reflection of the board's recognition of the current inhumane war against innocents in Gaza and our collective commitment as a community, as a city, to upholding human rights irrespective of one's background, color, or geographical origin. You are our elected officials. We look to you to be our voice and our direct link to our state and federal governments. We ask you to set an example to your fellow state and federal elected officials by asking you to put this on the agenda and voting on it. We urge the Elmhurst City Council to introduce and adopt the ceasefire resolution because this is about humanity. Our inaction in this matter will send the wrong message, and our collective silence is our acceptance for systematically starving a population, destroying infrastructure, bombing schools, churches, and hospitals. Today is day 241 of the war in Gaza. Today, as you heard from many of those that came before me, there are 2 million people, including women and children, living on the streets of Gaza without food, water, or shelter. A child is killed every 10 minutes in Gaza. There are almost 0 functioning hospitals in Gaza. Gaza has been bombed with an equal to 3 atomic bombs as of today. By remaining silent, we not only fail to uphold our moral obligations, but we become complicit in this genocide. Let us join 100+ cities who have passed a ceasefire resolution and affirm our commitment to justice and the fundamental principles of human dignity. I ask you to be a part of our community effort and protect your constituents and proactively deter individuals from being incited towards hate speech, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, and hate crimes. And once more, as a reminder, why does this matter? Did you know that the end of apartheid regime of South Africa ended? But it started with 90 cities passing a resolution to end that regime. So I ask that you be a part of history and do the same. Thank you.
Martha El Sharif. No? Keep going? Okay. Sabrina, I can't see the last name here. Is it Heinehan? Heinehan? I have the right last name? Sabrina? No? Okay. Muhammad Aslam. Okay. No, okay. Ohil Khan and Kaman Khan. That was it, Mayor.
All right.
Yep, we have one more here.
See.
Is this Kaman? Kamin?
Hello everyone. My name is Kamran Khan. And although I am not the citizen of this country, I am just taking this opportunity to call for the ceasefire. As the Security Council has the power to make the change and go to the government and say what's going on in the Gaza and stop the genocide. Many people are saying this is not a genocide. Everything is a process right now. And this is the process of systematic cleansing of people in Gaza. So I don't know why the government is behaving like a god right now. God has made us born like with the equal opportunity of living, and whoever who is complicit in this genocide is trying to behave like God just because they have the power and money. and trying to decide who to leave and who not to. I don't know. I don't understand on that point. So although I'm not the expert on this, and I don't want to go into the stats, what's going on, there are many experts who can speak on this. Just on the moral point, I just request the city council to go forward and make the change, and without hesitation, and call for the ceasefire. Thank you.
All right, that's the, yes, did you sign up? We'll do one, but then we're going to close public forum after this speaker. Please state your name when you get to the microphone.
Good evening. My name is Miriam Othman, and I want to thank you in advance for your attention. Israel is using mass starvation as a weapon of war against the population of Gaza. Starvation of a civilian population is a war crime and a crime against humanity, according to modern international criminal law. I am here tonight to advocate for the hundreds of thousands of children who are the weakest and most vulnerable members of society. They are the voiceless and helpless victims of this shocking and horrific reality in Gaza. Children are literally dying of a slow, painful, and tortured death of starvation, malnutrition, and dehydration. Their weak little bodies slowly shrivel up and consume themselves as their little organs slowly and painfully start to shut down. This is a death that an animal should not be subjected to, much less a vulnerable, helpless, innocent child. This is what keeps me up at night, and it should also keep you up at night. This is why an immediate and permanent ceasefire in Gaza is urgently needed, so that humanitarian aid can reach the millions of people facing death by starvation in Gaza. A nutrition screening conducted by UNICEF and its partners showed that 1 in 3 children under 2 years old in the northern Gaza Strip, that's 1/3, suffer from acute malnutrition. This is a sharp increase from the 16% back in January. In his Easter message, Pope Francis called for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Many of us attend prayer services in churches, mosques, synagogues, and temples, and we pray for world peace and an end to hunger and human suffering. Well, supporting and passing a ceasefire resolution in Gaza is putting those prayers into action and showing you stand with humanity in actual deeds, not just in words. We are not asking you as our local representatives to do anything illegal or anything that can be a liability for the city of Elmhurst. Over 100 cities, towns, and villages have already passed a ceasefire resolution. So obviously there are no liabilities or legal ramifications for doing so. We are asking you as our local representatives to show sensitivity and concern to your residents and constituents, and more importantly, your neighbors' pain and suffering as they watch their families be bombed and blown to pieces or starved to death. Let's also bring the hostages home to their families, as well as the innocent Palestinians who are detained under administrative detention in Israeli prisons. We urge you to add the ceasefire resolution onto your agenda next meeting and vote to pass it. And a side note, for information to get a clear picture, please watch the documentary Israelism, which was done by Israelis talking about what actually happens on the West Bank, which will give you a very good perspective. This was done before October 7. But in order for you to understand what Palestinians are going through, not the ones in Gaza, not Hamas, but on the West Bank, please watch the documentary. I thank you for your attention and
I'm
for
sorry,
listening to us.
Could you, before you go, could you repeat your name just because you didn't sign in?
My name is Miriam Othman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right.
I had signed up, but I swapped places with Saida. She had to leave, that's why. So if I will just take a minute of your time,
Yeah,
if I may be
if
allowed
you,
to speak.
What's your name, please?
Huma, H-U-M-A. I am a resident of Elmhurst. I've been a resident for over 30 years. I am also a product of the public school system of Elmhurst. Loved it so much that we moved back here after I was married, and my kids are also a product of the school system. I stand by what everybody has said, and I just want to implore you all to seriously consider the ceasefire and passing a resolution. It is imperative that the city of Elmhurst stand up and pass a resolution when they have an opportunity. This does not implicate any race, ethnicity, or religion. This is a human rights issue. We are asking you to make this decision. It implicates humans around the world, and we as Elmhurst residents stand for representing everyone. I loved growing up in Elmhurst. My kids loved growing up in Elmhurst. This is a town that considers both sides, and I'm asking you to consider passing a permanent ceasefire in Palestine. Thank you.
All right, we're going to close public forum. It's not our habit to respond directly from the dais, so I'm not sure where it's going to go from here, but we are going to close public forum. You are welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. I suspect many of you will not want to see the exciting remainder of our agenda, so I'm going to pause for a moment so that if anyone wants to leave at this time, you may do so now. If you want to place those right on that table there for the council. Thank you. We are going to go on to item 6 on the agenda, announcements. Are there any announcements this evening? Item 7 is the consent agenda, and I'm going to remove from the consent agenda. Let me pick something. 7.2. There's going to be some corrections to the minutes, and they'll be on the agenda next time. And 7.12.
7.12.
Yeah, 7.12 is just from the consent agenda. 7.2 I'm removing from the agenda. All right, does any other alderman have any item on the consent agenda that they would like removed, either for further discussion or to vote against? If so, please raise your hand. All right, seeing none, may I ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda? Oh, yes. I didn't want to speed up the meeting, sorry.
It's okay. I'll try
Clerk
to
Tamer,
go well.
thank you.
7.1, minutes of the Committee of the Whole on May 13th, 2024. 7.3, accounts payable June 3rd, 2024, $3,150,648.65. 7.4, appointment of Danny Palumsky to the Public Arts Commission. 7.5, appointment of Jacqueline Lopez Barrera and Erica Palia to the Veterans Commission. 7.6, appointment of Trent Grossman to the Commission on Youth. 7.7, reappointment of Jennifer Vince to the Senior Commission. 7.8, report case number 24, P06, conditional use permits for an outdoor theater and plan unit development with site development allowances. 7.9, report pedestrian safety. RRFB installations. 7.10, report Van Auken Street and Armitage Avenue intersection evaluation. 7.11, an ordinance granting sign variations to the property commonly known as 400 West Butterfield Road, Elmhurst, Illinois. 7.12, an ordinance amending Chapter 36 entitled Liquor of the Elmhurst Municipal Code. 7.13, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a non-exclusive license agreement by and between Elmhurst Walk-in Assistance Network, Inc. and the City of Elmhurst, DuPage, and Cook Counties, Illinois. 7.14, an ordinance waiving bid and authorizing the issuance of a notice of award purchase order for the purchase of concrete streetlight poles. 7.15, an ordinance authorizing the City of Elmhurst to waive bidding and purchase one 2024 Chevrolet Silverado EV3 WT truck and authorizing the disposal and sale of one 2015 Ford F-150 4x4 truck for the city's police department. 7.16, an ordinance authorizing the City of Elmhurst to waive bid and purchase one 2024 Ford F-550 4x4 dump truck and one 2024 F-450 4x4 dump truck and authorizing the disposal and sale of one 1999 Ford F-350 4x2 truck, one 2001 Ford F-350 4x4 truck, and one 2005 F-450 4x4 truck. 7.17, a resolution approving and authorizing the execution of a renewal contract for the 2024 crack sealing and seal coating program. 7.18, a resolution authorizing the issuance of a notice of award and authorizing the execution of a contract for the 2024 pavement striping program. 7.19, a resolution authorizing the issuance of a notice of award and authorizing the execution of a contract for the 2024 asphalt rejuvenating program. 7.20, a resolution authorizing the issuance of a notice of award and authorizing the execution of a contract for the 2024 concrete pavement patching project for the City of Elmhurst, Illinois.
All right, thank you, Clerk Tamer. May I have a motion now to approve the consent agenda minus items 7.2 and 7.12? Motion, Alderman Deuter. Second, Alderman Nudera. Clerk Tamer? I'm sorry. I think I asked the question, did anyone have anything else they wanted taken off the consent agenda? All right, Clerk Tamer?
Deuter?
Aye.
Remus absent. Hill?
Aye.
Schenko?
Aye.
Jensen absent. Bram?
Aye.
Cahill?
Aye.
Paludo absent. Park?
Aye.
Nudera?
Aye.
Bastido?
Aye.
Nardini?
Aye.
Brennan?
Aye.
Irby?
Aye.
11 ayes, 0 nays, 3 absent.
11 ayes, 0 nays, 3 absent. The consent agenda minus items 7.2 and 7.12 passes. Clerk Tamer, please read the ordinance for 7.12.
An ordinance amending Chapter 36 entitled Liquor of the Elmhurst Municipal Code.
All right, can I have a motion to put 7.12 before the council? Alderman Brennan with a motion, Alderman Hill with a second. All right, I just wanted to explain, because there was some confusion that may have been compounded. I pulled it from the agenda last council meeting because there were some technical amendments that I thought needed to be made in conjunction with a discussion with our city attorney. Nothing was changed in terms of what the committee's work was doing in terms of reducing, and remember the goal was to reduce the number of ordinances from something like 26 or 27 to maybe 5, and to take a fresh look at the fee structure, which we're advancing at a kind of a rapid rate. The technical error that I discussed was really, and the reason I pulled it in part is because as Alderman Nardini asked the question, and the reason the minutes were pulled was because it reflected it went back to committee, and it did not, so I didn't want there to be any confusion. I wanted to work with legal counsel to clarify that if you are distributing liquor, if you're serving liquor, whether it's for consideration or not, meaning whether you charge anything for it, you still need a liquor license. And the way it was written left it to seem more likely that if you had someone come in and you were having, like, say, Pinot's Palate, said we're just going to give away the liquor, that would be okay without a license. So I wanted that clarified. I also wanted to clarify that the BYOB license, which is another way of giving away liquor, potentially is only permitted in Elmhurst right now if you have a liquor license otherwise. Maybe a topic we'll look at some other time, but that was the reason for pulling this back for those technical corrections. So I just wanted to explain why it was pulled off and put back, and if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Or not. All right, Clerk.
This side.
Yes, Alderman Nardini.
Not a question, just thank you for how clear that all is.
All right, thank you, Alderman. All right, Clerk Tamer.
Joyder?
Aye.
Verimus absent. Hill?
Aye.
Schenko?
Aye.
Jensen absent. Bram?
Aye.
Cahill?
Aye.
Toledo absent. Park?
Aye.
Nudera?
Aye.
Bastido?
Aye.
Nardini?
Aye.
Brennan?
Aye.
Irby?
Aye.
11 ayes, 0 nays, 3 absent.
11 ayes, 0 nays, 3 absent. Ordinance 7.12 passes. On to committee reports 8.1. Clerk Tamer, please read the report.
Therefore, the Development Planning and Zoning Committee recommends the City Council enter into memorandum of understanding with the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus to participate in the Homes for Changing Region program. The City Attorney is hereby directed to prepare the necessary documents for City Council approval. Signed, Alderman Marty Deuter, Chair, Alderman Jennifer Verimus, Vice Chair, and Alderman Tina Park.
We have a motion to approve 8.1. Alderman Deuter with a motion, Alderman Park with a second. Alderman Deuter.
Thank you, Mayor. With this report, the Development Planning and Zoning Committee is recommending that the city engage with the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus to participate in the Homes for a Changing Region program. Through our Council of Government DuPage Mayors and Managers Conference, Elmhurst is a member of the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus. Like DMMC, Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus is a forum for municipal leaders to collaborate on common challenges. As the committee's report indicates, more than 60 municipalities have participated in this program, which is designed to provide valuable information to each participating community. Components of the program include a needs assessment, discussions with local stakeholders, a panel of housing experts, a community survey, and a final report. When the program concludes, typically within 6 months, we expect to have a good understanding of our community's existing housing stock, the ways our housing supply has changed over time, and key housing challenges based on the data and community input. As the Council knows, one of the priority areas of the city's current strategic plan is residential development and housing options, and one of the specified goals is to identify ways to promote downsizing and empty nester housing options. Participation in this program is a great way to begin to make progress on the goals of our strategic plan and is at no cost to the city. Any recommendations from the report that the council may wish to consider will be taken up separately. The information we learn will be useful to our current council and will also serve as a resource to future groups of aldermen. And I ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Deuter. Other discussion on 8.1. Clerk Tamer.
Joyder?
Aye.
Verimus absent. Hill?
Aye.
Schenko?
Aye.
Jensen absent. Bram?
Aye.
Cahill?
Aye.
Toledo absent. Park?
Aye.
Nudera?
Aye.
Bastido?
Aye.
Nardini?
Aye.
Brennan?
Aye.
Irby?
Aye.
11 ayes, 0 nays, 3 absent.
11 ayes, 0 nays, 3 absent. Report 8.1 passes. On to reports and recommendations of appointed elected officials, 9.1, Mayor 11. I'm sorry to say I have more than a few here. Item 1, the Explore Elmhurst Trolley is back and offers visitors and residents a free 30-minute ride around lively city of Elmhurst, making 6 stops across the city. This fun and easy trip runs every Friday and Saturday, May 31 through September 14th from noon to midnight. Second, the City of Elmhurst is hosting a downtown plan visioning workshop on Wednesday, June 12th from 6:30 to 8 o'clock p.m. at Elmhurst University at the dining hall at Frick Center, 190 South Prospect Avenue. The purpose of this visioning workshop is to allow stakeholders, citizens, and community leaders to share their thoughts before plans and recommendations are drafted. Refreshments will be provided, and for the council's benefit, we will be having a committee of the whole meeting next week to talk about our downtown plan for the council's participation and education. Next, the Elmhurst Farmers Market begins Wednesday, June 5th. Please enjoy the market every Wednesday from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. from June to October in the York and Vallette Business District, right behind the Knights of Columbus. But don't be confused about the addition of the Elmhurst summer scene with the upcoming Elmhurst French Market. This vibrant market will showcase an array of local artisan foods and goods located at the municipal lot at 180 West Park at the corner of Park and Prospect. This market will run every Sunday from June 9th through September 29th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Next, Elmhurst Cycling Classic is this Saturday. Racing starts at 10 a.m., culminating with the pro race at 5 p.m. This year includes a new element with a Twilight Mile immediately following the running of the race, or the pro cycling race. Finally is the Family Fun Ride. Special thanks to the DuPage Cycling Foundation for all the work to bring this exciting event back to Elmhurst. And if you haven't been to one of those, it's really something to see. You'll probably find me, maybe right in front of Wilder Mansion. Lastly, I was sworn in last week, or I was recognized or took office as the head of DuPage Mayors and Managers Conference. It's a good opportunity for Elmhurst to show some leadership. It means a lot to me, and I appreciate the aldermen who came out to participate in the annual dinner, and I hope you got to meet a lot of people from other communities. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. One item tonight, our neighborhood roll calls have started. So we had 2 last week. This week's roll calls are tomorrow night, Tuesday at Seminole and Parkside, and on Thursday will be Willow and Schiller, and those go from 7 to 8 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You can check the Police Department Facebook page for updates on the locations.
Thank you, City Manager. And I should mention City Manager is our new Secretary Treasurer amongst about 3 or 4 other titles with DuPage Managers and Mayors Conference. Item 10, any other business to be brought before the council? Alderman Brennan.
Thank you, Mayor. So on behalf of this council, city staff, and the residents of Elmhurst, would like to wish City Manager Grabowski a happy birthday tomorrow.
Oh.
Thank you.
I feel like we do that every year. Oh, yeah, it's her birthday. Any other business? All right, seeing none, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn. Alderman Brennan with a motion, Alderman Hill with a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Say nay. We are adjourned. Thank you all.